Well, there's no scientific way to prove this or discuss this, but I guarantee you'll see it in the comments. Here's my question as I bring in the trio here. Matt DeBerry, here comes Ryan Curley. Why are Alabama fans so triggered by the Dogs?
You're going to trigger a lot of folks that watch this channel because there's a lot of Alabama fans I think tune into us for obvious reasons. But
Our good
uh,
looks, or
probably, and our take on the Dogs and Tide, including this one. But they probably know internally or externally, whatever, that Georgia is the team. They're the number one program in college football. They've won two national championships since Alabama has. They still love the fact that Alabama kind of has their number, right? Everyone knows Georgia beat them in the national championship, but other than that, Alabama's had their number. And so I think they probably think in their minds, Alabama still top dog. They're the number one program of all time. I don't think anyone's debating that. But right now, it is Georgia, even though Alabama just beat them. And I think with the new staff coming in, I think a lot of them are optimistic about the future. And I think they're going to be a really good team. I don't know how good. I think it might take a year or two, maybe more than that, to push for a national championship. It just depends on how that staff, brings it in, and if he can get his quarterback like a Michael Penix Jr. in, get their guys into place because it takes a few years. And we saw that with Georgia. I guess it only took 2 years for Kirby Smart to get Georgia to that level. Maybe it only takes Alabama 2 years, but that's the only program in, I think, an Alabama fan's mind that has passed them or at least got to that same level, Ryan.
Well, it's been a shifting of the power over the last few years, and the Alabama fans probably don't love that. That it's not them anymore. Now in the offseason, it's Georgia that's projected to do this and to do that, and that's the team that you just kind of pencil in that number one heading into next year. It's Georgia now, and it's not Alabama at the moment. How far did they fall off from where they were with Nick Saban is yet to be seen. I don't think this is going to be. I think it's going to be a really good team that could win 10 games pretty easily, but it's Georgia's viewed as it's hard to say that Georgia's not the number one program in college football right now when Nick Saban walks out the door in Alabama, but they just enjoyed a decade plus of success that you don't see across sports. But now that that's going away, I'm sure it's easy to be upset about that. That's probably why. But yeah, Alabama fans are always in the comments over here, and they just don't like it. I mean, look, they beat Georgia the last time they played. I don't think that's going to happen this next time, but it's a shifting of the power. That's where it comes down to.
so the Lakers, I wouldn't say the Celtics, the Lakers and the Cowboys, they have like really big, very noisy fan bases. Alabama has been way better than both of them, perhaps with the exception of when the Lakers were very good with Shaq and Kobe, or with Magic and James Worthy, etc. You hear them a lot all the time, and I think a lot of Alabama folks are Ryan's age or younger. They don't remember Mike DeBose. They don't remember Mike Price. They don't remember, a lot of the struggles that is the bulk of Alabama football and would be the bulk of Georgia football. I mean, nobody's writing stories about the 1996 season at Georgia. I don't think they're writing that about Alabama either. The only thing people are remembering are the good times. And there's a lot of fear right now, and I think it's justifiable, that the good times aren't going to be as good as they once were. And that's what they're really scared about, is that they've been replaced. And frankly, they have been replaced. That's just what it is. And it was either going to be Georgia or Ohio State, could be Texas, LSU. I don't know, Matt. But what I mean by I don't know is I don't know who it would be. But you always get replaced, and Georgia's run will end at some point too. I don't know who is. When Nebraska died, Miami kind of killed them. When Miami died, the SEC took over just globally, whether that was LSU or Florida or whatever. And then that rolled right into Alabama for 10 years. But it does go away. And if it doesn't go away, we would still be seeing, a domination from Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Tennessee. It always goes away. And I think for Bama folks, they've run their mouths for a long time, and they've had a lot to run their mouths about, no question. I think they don't like it that the guy that they view as they tutored, if you will, has gone to a place that has been, I wouldn't say losers, but pretty loser adjacent for what they should be, and has gotten it done.
Yeah, I have a lot of Alabama buddies who remember 2002 when Georgia ripped Alabama's heart out. In 2003, when I think it was Thomas Davis who broke Brody Croyle's ribs. 2007 when they went back over there and won in overtime. So I've got a lot of friends who, I've always had a bitter taste in their mouth about Georgia because they saw Georgia beat Alabama. And that's why that blackout game in 2008 was so big for them and how they beat Georgia. Because I think, we talked in another video, I guess 2 weeks ago, about that spark that lit the program. We could say it was Georgia's big win over Notre Dame, but that blackout win that Alabama had against Georgia, total domination, that really started to make them look like the powerhouse that they were about to become. So Alabama fans have seen Georgia beat them a decent bit, early in the 2000s, but and of course they saw in the national championship a few years ago. So and they don't like it. It doesn't sting as much as maybe losing to LSU and Auburn, but they don't like it at all. And I do think, like you just said, the fact that Kirby Smart, who is an all-time coach. I mean, if you write the story of Kirby Smart down the road, you can't not write the part about him being the defensive coordinator at Alabama. It's a big reason why they were what they were. And now it's him who's leading Georgia to, like Ryan said, the shifting of the powers. It definitely is not something that they're super thrilled about.
Yeah, I mean, Dean nailed it. My entire watching college football life, it's just always been Alabama. They've just been the number one program. I mean, the first national championship that I can remember is the one against Texas, Bama and Texas. So it's been that pretty much the whole time, and now it's not. So, and I think a lot of the people online obviously are younger, so you're hearing a lot of the young Alabama fans that they don't know how to deal with this. They don't know how to deal with the fact that they're not on top. So I think there's that portion, at least for the younger fans, but it doesn't last forever. So like you said, Georgia's, this era of Georgia football is not going to last forever, whether it's another 5 or 10 years or whatever it ends up being. The Kirby era, where they really dominated the country, will come to an end. But I think them being so close to each other in the conference kind of adds to it. It's not like it's across the country. They've had to deal with each other over and over the last few years in games that either are the national championship or lead to it. So I think that's where kind of some of the chatter comes from. But for most of the fans that you see online, they've never experienced anything else.
4-7, 7-5, 10-3, 3-8, 7-5, 10-3, 4-9, 6-6, 10-2, 5-7. Those were the seasons between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban. That sounds horrific. That was Alabama football, and that was Alabama football for a decade. So for, and then they still acted like they had invented the sport. So it's not the hubris that comes from winning in football for a fan base. It's hard to yank that away. The Clemson folks, I think they've come down. My suspicion, but Alabama's invented football. They invented football before everybody else a long time ago. It's just what it is, and that's how they've acted, and that's fine. And they are the best. I mean, for me, they're the best program in the history of college football. It's not Notre Dame, it's not Michigan, but they've had some really bad times. Florida, which was a train wreck disaster. It's like a Waffle House fight before Steve Spurrier got there. They acted for 10 years. Almost 15. It was really the golden years of Gator football, 1990 to 2009. That 19, 20 years, that was an amazing run for the Florida Gators. I can read their record off since then, but I can tell you right now, Matt DeBerry, it's been pure trash. So things come and go. That's the bad part. But it does just to try to put a finger on what is so triggering for the Bama folks about Georgia specifically, because they didn't act like this about Clemson. They didn't. I mean, I don't remember it. So I don't know why they're so hyped up about Georgia. I don't know if it's jealousy. It's kind of hard to be jealous and be better, right? You can't be both.
Right. I think you've got two passionate fan bases for sure. And they're not traditional rivals. Dean will be the first to tell everyone about traditional rivals. But when they get together, when they play, it certainly feels like it. And the fan bases, they're not super friendly. It feels like they used to be because they both hated Auburn. But now you got two powerhouses. Every single game matters between the two. And most of the time it's for some type of championship. So, yeah, the rivalry feel is kind of in the air. They recruit the same type of guys, so they're recruiting on the trail, or they're battling on the trail, on the field. And, everyone said that Georgia was the sleeping giant, right? Kind of, Steve Spurrier woke up Florida a little bit, and Mark Richt almost woke him up. But Kirby Smart came in, and he woke that giant up really quick. And Alabama fans, they kind of knew. I think maybe when Georgia hired him, they said, okay, that was the right hire. That's the guy that could take them to where they need to be, and they're there. And like we've said in the past, I don't think we've seen the last of Georgia's national championship was under Kirby Smart. And we don't know when Alabama's going to get one with Kalen DeBoer, but I think Kirby and the Dogs will get one before Alabama wins another, and they might feel the same way.
Yeah, what Matt just said. I remember when Kirby got hired, I was around Alabama people. I was at school. And there were Alabama people at school, and they all were talking about, hey, this this guy is for real. Like, this is a good hire. And I think it kind of goes back to that. He is the transition there. He's tied both stories together. He's a big part of their success and now a big part of Georgia's success. And I think that, like you were saying, you can't, if you're going to write a book about Kirby and write a book about all this, you can't do it without talking about his time in Alabama as a defensive coordinator. So I think that kind of adds to the whole conversation, just the fact that the stories all blended together by him just being a part of both of these. I don't know that Georgia's a dynasty yet, but they're on their way.
Yeah, they're dynasty adjacent, that's for sure. Thanks for watching.